what is this, Kilimanjaro. And we do have lakes. They do have fish in it. We could always see a fish boom like we've been seeing so often now on these Arabia games, especially on, if you look at Viper's stream or on his YouTube, you come across these games where he's just looking for a pond, even if there doesn't exist one on the map. With the current meta Arabia gens, or not even meta, current day Arabia gens, you don't always have a pond guaranteed on your map. But I say bring back the HD versions of Arabia. We want to see crazy tall mountains, crazy unfair spawns, make it more like Nomad, make it more like the good old days. But on Kilimanjaro, we do have a crazy big hill. It's just very evenly placed right in the center, and there's a lot of stones and golds right in the middle. Relics are spawning very evenly, I would say, right across the middle of the map. I'm guessing there's an avoid actor area set for the relic spawns and avoiding each other. So that's a little bit of a map knowledge that I had to name drop there, just to show you guys that I'm a very experienced caster and member of the Age of Empires 2 community. So you can always drop a follow and subscribe, and I appreciate Superhero you doing that right now. So what's this event, and what kind of shape are these guys in? TTL Gold, T90's Titan League's Gold, I would say is the premier Age of Empires 2 event in the community. It has what I would say is the most interesting maps. Not that Kilimanjaro specifically is the most interesting map, but there's a nice amount of variety between the maps. And Lyx and Kasva are two interesting people. I would say, I mean, Lyx can have some very interesting games because he can have a very off-meta approach where he brings some new strategies, some very chaotic games that can be very interesting to watch. But I imagine his opponent, Kasva here, won't necessarily want to play in such a manner. Kasva, on the other hand, I don't really know too much about his playstyle. I know he's repeatedly posted on Twitter that he's quit, or he's retired from Age of Empires 2 multiple times. Sometimes he was, what was he? He was saying he was going to play Age of Empires 4 instead of Age of Empires 2, I think. I'm not sure I have that completely correct, but yeah, he's a solid player. He's been around the scene for a while. I would say probably the top Turkish player. But I would say he's clearly a Gold League contestant. He's in like that top 30 to top 50 players. And he had the opportunity to go up to Platinum League, the higher league, the top league, for this season. But he lost out in that qualifier to replace Jordan's spot. He lost out to Winchester, I believe. So Lyx, with the Chinese start, has looked very good. Only 20 seconds of idle time, and he's got for a mill over here to collect from the shorefish. The Chinese start can be very hungry, and he just is missing out on these two sheep. Very unfortunate. I think he'll still have enough food to get up to the next stage. He does have very forward berries, stone, and gold, and the wood lines are pretty sparse on the map. Meanwhile, back woodline, back berries for Kasva, looking pretty good. And he's going for a barracks fairly early there. That's a pre-mill barracks, so we're thinking maybe a drush. And I think that can do decently well against the Chinese. Of course, the Chinese getting loom instantly might make that difficult. Lyx is mainly meta player these days. Yeah, that's right, Superhero. It is unfortunate. I was expecting, like, yeah, something off meta from Vivi as well in his set earlier this week. He's in a different group in TTL Gold. But when he played against Gookie, it was all just fairly boring play. I mean, he did have some nice aggression, and it felt like he was far more comfortable on the wide variety of maps here in TTL than Gookie was, she's more of a, I would say just like a standard player, an Arabia player. Great job here by Kasva, stealing these sheeps while he takes the fight, and Lyx will lose scout HP if he tries to run away. Does manage to get a little bit of a hill here in between the wood line. And, okay. Kasva looks like he's going to be able to take those sheep home. Looks like he's going to just be a chaperone and block off the possible route, but may have forgotten of his scout as he slowly brings the militia over. The militia feel very late, especially if you're... I guess he wanted to get up to feudal age. I don't know. This build's kind of curious. It is kind of like a French drush. A drush that was first popularized by the French players. And it looks like... I mean, I'm guessing it's archers behind, but also fairly long rush distances. So we'll see how well Kasva has refined this build order. Yes, the extra sheep bonus, or the longer lasting sheep. I guess the beefier sheep. Beef isn't really used to refer to sheep normally. I don't know. I'm a vegan, so I don't know these things very well. But yeah, the beefier sheep of the tatters is a very nice bonus in these kind of settings where you're trying to go for a very aggressive start and you don't really want to be having to drop farms to keep your town center working. Kasva trying to pick off villagers, but again, villagers that have loom. The spear is even blocking these villagers to make sure they can get back to the town center safely. And we have some walls here. Man-at-Arms could try to go through. Man-at-Arms should really just take out that spear. They have bonus damage against the spear. And Spear tries to get a poke on the Scout. Scout just pulls it out of position. And it looks like Lyx is doing a good job of defending so far. Meanwhile, behind this, what has Lyx seen? He has scouted his opponent's base. He's almost pretty much just run under the town center. And we'll have an idea of where to send his archers. But of course, the archers are just going to be defending for now. All the shorefish are out. And I think the good thing about Kasva's approach here is he's going to be pushing the villagers off berries to some extent. Though the archery range being placed right in front of that is pretty good here. Oh, villagers can't quite get the wall off. Scout blocked it. Man-at-Arms are in, but Scout chases away Scout. And I think the Man-at-Arms won't get all that much damage in. Just a little bit of idle worker efficiency. Scout for Lyx might... I don't know. Oh, yeah, look. Kasva, he's got it. He knows why Man-at-Arms can be so strong. It forces your opponent to react to many things at once. And I don't know... Okay, maybe it was the archer that got that last kill on the Scout? Yeah, the archer has 1 kill on it. I was going to say, that spear was very, very far to get that hit on the Scout, but no. It was just a short little shot from the archer's bow. Behind this, double bit coming in for Kasva, already in for Lyx, and a few archers being created. Men-at-Arms are probably just going to be microed down now. They're all in the same location. Might get a kill against the spear. But beyond that, I don't think they're going to be doing too much damage. Both players having lost their Scout, I believe? Yes. So it looks like it's just going to be probably fairly defensive until the next stage. Yeah, Brahaya, I am a sucker for Men-at-Arms as well. We saw it play out very, very well for Siskon against Target yesterday. Siskon, one of the fastest players in the community, averaging like 90 effective APM, whereas Target has one of the slowest players in the community. About the same APM as like Doubt or John Slow. And that was one of Siskon's main strategies for the last set that he played yesterday. And he even talked about it in French later on his stream. So if you speak French, you can go watch back Siskon's stream from yesterday after his set. He had a lot of insight there on his strategy and preparation. It was quite interesting to watch. Men-at-Arms have pulled the skirms a little bit out of position as the archers are coming in on the other side. Lyx knows he's out of position. He doesn't have the aggression going, so he's going to build a very nice tower here on his gold, but might not be in time. Villager can still go in. Fletching isn't in yet, and Villager is pathing a little weirdly. Lyx took him a while to recognize the archers were in, and archers going in fairly deep. I would say too deep, but maybe Kasva also recognizes that there isn't that much of an opportunity following this attack, so he's just sent the archers in, hoping to get a little bit of damage. I would say the villager is probably worthwhile here, and might force a bit of idle time as well. But yeah, Lyx did play a few games before this. I think I saw he had been playing a few Arabia games, so you'd think he's well warmed up, but it feels like this aggression from Kasva is yeah, forcing a lot of reactions from Lyx. A lot of defensive reactions that he wasn't quite ready for. Maybe he's thinking this is a more closed map, and playing as Chinese, he'll just have time to make use of those extra villagers that he started off with. But looking at the idle TC time, the villager count is just about even now. More archers coming in along with skirms. The tower deflects them, and we have full walls, just about full walls on the right side. Okay, and Lyx has that shift queued, going for the range now, or sorry, for the blacksmith now, to match the fletching of Kasva. And Lyx is floating quite a lot of res, but it looks like it's mainly just res to make sure he gets up to castle age at a decent time. Resources collected are slightly ahead for him, about 300 resources ahead. Not the biggest advantage for this early in the game. Yeah, you would expect Chinese to be ahead in this situation, and Kasva does have to watch out with this aggression. His exit strategy is a little bit limited here with all the pawns. Actually, this might be the thumbnail for the YouTube video. These pawns make for some nice, interesting, a nice composition. I spent a long time today remaking the thumbnail that I had for last week or yesterday's video with Syscon and Target. And yep, archers get microed down pretty handily. Looks like Lyx is in a much more comfortable position here now that he has his eco figured out. His base just about walled off. And he clicks up to Castle Age. Kasva won't be too far behind. Maybe just needs to cancel that archer so he has the gold. I don't know why we stopped following. Okay, maybe I clicked the unfollow button. This wall off for Kasva, very, very interesting. I guess he knows his opponent right now hasn't had very mobile units. So a wall off like this just gives him plenty of time. I wish I could see if there's a hole there. It does feel like we have 2 tiles here and we have one tile here, so there is a gap here. But again, just skirms. Oh, and a few archers coming across as well. And it's double range for our Chinese player here. Chinese in regards to civilization and nationality. Market coming up as well for Lyx. Interesting market timing. Maybe it's to buy back the stone. He does have stone right there, though. I guess it'll give him options depending on how this follow-up comes together. We see the archers and the palisade gets placed. Kasva recognizes there was that danger. Another palisade behind the lumber camp. And yeah, just having 3 archers here, plus the skirms, isn't too much of a danger. Another villager thinking about closing this off, but it looks like it's closed. I think Kasva clicked the villager out, and we'll see that. But hasn't really scouted around his base yet, so isn't really sure of where the openings are. Scout's going to buy a little bit of time, but also a little bit worrying. It's mostly archers that Kasva has. And okay, they're being pulled over here. Stable plus range. Scout goes down. And Lyx is up. We'll pull back for the moment, getting bodkin and crossbow upgrades. I think another scout might go down if Kasva's not careful here. The hill might come into play here. Tatter bonus could be nice for Kasva. I haven't really talked about his civ beyond the scout bonus so far. And the micro feels like it's better for Lyx. Just left his skirms up on the high ground, and archers were microed around. Kasva also up, getting bloodlines, or just got bloodlines, but has no armor on his cav yet. So the 5 crossbow that are here for Lyx would be able to micro down pretty much anything that Kasva was able to pull out, and Kasva recognizes that. Builds the defensive tower on the wood line. Lyx continues to move in to Kasva's base. What will he find next? Maybe this wood line back here near the town center. The villagers will probably be pulled off of gold in a moment, back to the town center for safety. And Kasva is nearly housed as well. Building another house. Almost feels like a panic house. Kasva's testing Lyx to see how well he will out-micro this. Has bodkin now for the elite skirms, but doesn't really have any armor, so doesn't really want to take a fight before it's necessary. And the follow-up for Lyx is knights. It does feel like, you know, the advantage of the Chinese here, having those extra resources early, getting the faster castle age time, being able to decide where the fights are going to be taking place, has really benefited Lyx. And the KD for him is so much better. Eco KD, very even still for both players. But I expect Lyx to have far more efficient villager working time coming soon. Oh, sorry, I said Elite Skirm was in. It is not. We're just dealing with standard Skirms for right now. And Elite Skirm coming in behind. And finally, Kasva. Finally, Kasva able to take out those remaining units. But now we have Knights coming in with the first armor upgrade. And villagers will be forced off of gold again. Only skirms here in defense. This stable that Kasva made really isn't coming into play whatsoever. I think he was hoping he would have a slightly better timing. Could make a camel. But no, okay, he got bloodlines, and now he's switching over to cav archers. Makes sense for the Tatters, who get the free thumb ring upgrade. And we have our first first town center over here for Lyx, who bought 100 stone. And we'll be able to mine the... Or he must have bought 200 stone to replace the 125 that he spent on the tower earlier. We have an archer range block, it feels like. But I think these... I don't know. Yeah, I think these crossbow just go in for villager kills here. Indeed, Lyx is running in. Villagers to go down. And I think that will be it. But on the same side, we have Knights picking off Villager underneath this tower. Does get one and gets taken out. So big Villager lead, I would say, already at this point in the game. Or I would assume so, but Lyx has even more idle TC time. Look at these crossbows. So sneaky. Okay, Cav archers see them. We have good vision here for Kasva. You must have gotten Town Watch already, it looks like. More crossbows, forcing a reaction here for Kasva. Lyx microing around the tower fire to some extent. The acacia trees with their 150 wood. The branches getting in the way of the crossbows, making it difficult to micro. Elite Scrim doesn't make sense. I think Elite Scrim Cav Archer can be a little bit easier to make or to have as a composition, because when your opponent has already been making archers and then crossbow from feudal age, it can be difficult to outmass them with just Cav Archer, and with the additional range that crossbows have. Ooh, oh, we almost thought about a wall off here, but I think Kasva kind of misplayed that. He placed the palisade before he had finished the house, but at least it'll limit how much these units can just run around his base. But what was I saying? That I think the having the elite skirms as a counter to the crossbow mass that he's seen his opponent make can be nice, and then you can keep running around with the cav archers behind. Otherwise, I feel like it's very easy to completely negate the advantage of the mobility of cav archers by just having crossbows. But so far, Lyx has had a much better position here. Rest collected is now about 1,200 ahead for Lyx, and his Vil count is going to grow very, very quickly. I like the outpost here, but it feels like it might be a little bit too late. Lyx should see... Oh, we have a game pause. Lyx should see that there's the villagers right there, but obviously he's paying attention to building a university at home, and I imagine he can be dropping a few more farms to make sure he has enough farms to keep all of these town centers producing. Looks like Lyx was complaining about lag for a moment there. And Cav Archer's in, and okay, Elite Skirm for Lyx does seem a little bit odd. I think he could just stay on crossbows. But I guess he's just playing it safe. He has the advantage. He has the additional resources he's collected. So he's going to go for it. Crossbows just getting the first kill now. Ballistics will be on the way in. Cav Archers look like they took out the two Elite Skirms that were in. And now both players getting the Castle Age Archer armor. Lyx trying to protect his economy with a tower as well. But fighting downhill against Tatters, even if you have all the armor, is not a great option. And this is when Kasva wants to get the score back up. He's going right underneath this tower, recognizing there's no military here. The issue is he just doesn't have ballistics, so not actually getting anything out of that. I imagine... I don't know what the reaction is for Lyx. I imagine it's just queue up a lot of elite skirms, but he's not too concerned. Behind this, he's doing some damage, trading off with some elite skirms who do not have ballistics, as I mentioned earlier. I think that'll be a prioritization here for Kasva. And how does Lyx already have a castle? That's kind of crazy. Looks like we have some town center task location issues because villagers are being sent to the middle of the map, but we'll see that there is a castle going up, so at least that information is beneficial. But yeah, you can see all of Kasva's villagers right now from this town center are going forward, and additional issues being created here, trying to block in these crossbows. But obviously a lot of things to focus on here for Kasva, and a little bit overwhelmed as villagers continue to go through the middle of the map. Finally, looks like the crossbows are going to be taken out. Kasva calls the GG though. He feels like he is too far behind. Arguably a quick GG for a tournament game like this, but it all came down to Kasva not having a great wall off here and being a little bit behind to go up. Maybe not having great vision of Lyx's units going across the map, being a bit too aggressive early on. Yeah, just not tracking units. Mongols is pretty popular on Shoals in Season 2. Okay, interesting. I did not remember them as so, but I mean, I've become far more familiar with Shoals over time. We are into game number 2 between Kasva and Lyx. Kasva playing as the Mongols, Lyx playing as the Italians. I think Italians are seen more often. It might be that Mongols are just simply banned out, especially when you have maps like Jungle Swamp that you have so many different deer. I mean, there's a lot of deer on this map too, right? We have, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 deer here, and usually we have another clump that's sometimes in a pushable distance. In this case, it doesn't look like that's the case. Yeah, we have 6 deer here, and then yeah, you could theoretically push, and sometimes the vector, so to speak, is a little bit easier than others. Let me just fast forward to make sure I'm caught up. Looks like I am. But traditionally, players are going to be docking here, so they have 2 production buildings producing eco units. The deep fish is pretty safe here in Feudal Age, or in Dark Age especially, and then in Feudal Age because you have the tower that has 7 attack without even any upgrades. But eventually the deep fish are taken, and then you have to move out into the unsheltered sections. And yeah, both players have fairly similar deep fish and shore fish positionings. Shore fish usually aren't in the middle of the water like this, but on this map with some clever map scripting, you can make it work. It means that there's slightly less efficient food sources, but it still makes controlling the water beneficial in terms of economy in the middle game. And you do have these amphibious crossings as well that will go in between these 2 gold sections on either side of the map, since both players only start with two tile golds, totaling 3,200 gold, which could be enough to get you up to Imperial Age, but it would make it very, very tricky. Mongols and Italians were most popular civs in TTL2. Okay. That's interesting. I would think that Portuguese and Byzantines would be up there too. I guess Byzantines are even more popular now that they have the Droman available to them. Kasva remembers to drop a house before he goes out and makes the dock. And Lyx is slightly faster to that dock, collecting all the water buffalo. Looks like both players are going to find all of the resources this time. Is that first elephant coming in? Do we only have 1 elephant on this map? Oh, it looks like we do have only 1 elephant. That is something... You can tell I haven't played Shoals all that much. I played a few times... was it in a tournament that I was playing in? Or I guess it's been in the map pool, hasn't it? I don't think it... when did Shoals first arrive in the map pool? I don't think it... Was it an Empire Wars map first? I feel like that's the only way that maps nowadays end up in the map pool, as if they are Empire Wars maps that Krazzini makes. And because Red Bull Wololo has such a, I don't know, high status in the community, those maps are the only ones that are the new ones coming into the community. Scout for Lyx, just scouting around. Shoals is pretty bad on ranked. You think, as in like, players do a bad job of playing it? Or it's just not very interesting a map? I don't think it's the most interesting of a map because it kind of plays out the same way. I think the most interesting parts are how players choose to control this gold on the sides. And then beyond that, like after you lose gold control, it can kind of be bland. It is interesting to see, like, I mean, the way Syscon played it yesterday did make it very, very fun to watch. It was just micro everywhere, and behind it, he always seemed to have economy. It wasn't like you see these guys go for all-in aggression, and then their economy behind is just potato. It's garbage. The economy behind, I mean, he had light cab before I was expecting it. He had condotieros before I was expecting it. It is all very, very nice. But you can see Kasva making the most of the Mongols, pushing the deer, as I mentioned, that were much further away, and he still has this to collect as well. 3 fishing ship for both. Oh, it doesn't have deep fish in rank. That's right. That's right. It makes it far less interesting when you don't have any incentive to play water. It's both players just going out for the gold. I forgot about that. I do remember I Love Baskets, who I want to say is top 100 now, but I'm not 100% sure. Strong American player. Was competing in a tournament that had Shoals in the map pool. And it was a tournament with, you know, somewhat smaller brackets, so he definitely wasn't favored. And he was thinking about going for Mongols and an all-in strategy of Steppe Lancers, FC Steppe Lancers in Siege. And I don't know if it ended up working for him, but when he tried it on me, it absolutely worked. I was not expecting it at all. But I think having the water... Ooh, okay. I just mentioned the strategy, and here we have our Mongol player out here on the side, thinking of a new strategy to cook up. I did not notice this at all. And obviously, Kasva is still trying to push deer at home, but might have a lot to focus on. Lyx has already walled up this side. Here's another thumbnail candidate. Let's just stay here for a moment. There we go. Future Colin will be thank me for stopping to take a look at that. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen here. I'm guessing stable's the second building here. And I mean, he doesn't want to get too close to the wall. He doesn't have a scout around either, right? It's still pushing deer at home. He will still see the wall before the wall sees him. Okay, he felt it. He didn't actually see the wall, but he felt its presence. The way the units were pathing around. So it's stable there, and I think it'll be blacksmith at home, so you can build siege workshop at home, or siege workshop forward. Does have the wood now, but I don't see anyone going out to build. Neither player investing in any navy at the moment, and we have blacksmith stable, or sorry, blacksmith market. And there's the blacksmith. House doesn't see it. House only has one tile of range. And you know, Kasva does see the house for his opponent, so knows where the walls start. Very all in here for Kasva. Maybe he's feeling at a disadvantage. Sees that Kasva's scout's still at home, so might think, oh, Kasva is just Kasva's just playing defensive. Maybe he's gonna play navy with the Mongols, but unfortunately, Lyx can't stay around to find out. His scout taking some damage to the town center has to run now. Lyx actually going for a different loop. Maybe he wants to check the stones in case Mangadai is the play. I mean, going back with a weak scout all the way back to your town center feels like, oh, Kasva's going to block a little bit. And scout's stuck. The scout's stuck. What a trap. Beautiful. Lyx tries to get away last minute. Does not get it. Kasva might as well finish that house. Double stable? I mean, maybe with the water and the fish, he actually can afford this. He built an additional fishing ship on the way up. Getting bloodlines. Yeah, Lancer Rush. I'm guessing he's going to add siege as well, but maybe can't afford it immediately. These are just going to be house villagers for the moment. And for Lyx, he's adding a fire. Kind of needs, what do you call it? War galley upgrade to get those fire ships to be able to compete with the sea tower here. Though the fishing ships are a little bit outside of the span, that protective span of the sea tower at the moment. Could also just go for the shorefish, I guess. Lyx can't scout for feudal age buildings anymore. Yeah, that's really big. He doesn't know what the follow-up is. I think Lyx is just going to go fairly defensive, adding his own stable as well so he can make more scouts to check what's happening. I think Kasva's strategy might work here. It really comes down to what these villagers are doing. Hey, he has enough for a siege workshop. This looks practice. This looks absolutely practice. And still no vision here from Lyx on what's coming next. Lyx just adding enough fires, it feels like, to be able to compete on water. I guess that war galley upgrade for him is a little bit cheaper as the Italians. But he's just staying at home for the moment. Just patrolling back and forth near his own fishing ships. We'll see the original scout coming forward. Should recognize that it's the original scout. Oh, just passing. Kasva wants none of that, but does see his opponent is on water. I think he glimpsed it for a moment. And the war galley upgrade is coming in for Lyx as well. Stamp Lancers are here. Still out of vision. Mangonel will be the first siege that Kasva puts out. The scores look very, very similar, so it's not obvious, I guess, to Lyx what's happening. He will see it now. Still doesn't see the Mangonel, but he sees the Steppe Lancers. And he's going for a town center to block the advance, I think. It does a decent job. He's going to try to wall around. Kasva already clicked in, and Lyx sees the Mangonel roll in past the palisades, abandons that position, leaves one villager behind by villager. So the fish situation isn't looking too hot for Kasva. He will need to switch to farms, and that's indeed what he's doing. No horse collar, just double bid axe. But he's in with the Steppe Lancers looking for damage. Panic Monastery here for Lyx, who has got out to this other gold. So he will have great gold access. And a knight comes out to deal with the Mangonel. Mangonel really needs to stay up. Though Mangonel coming in on these villagers would be huge. Yeah, don't even go for the town center. Villagers need to run now. Steppe Lancers, okay, are on the correct side. And they're just going to hide even further in. Knight's going to try to make it difficult. There's only so much area here on this side of the map. Villager might as well try to take some few hits out of... Okay. Steppe Lancers do the job. Villagers hiding. Monk here to try to get some conversions. I think Monk plus Knight can manage this initial push. Follow up behind, nothing for Kasva. Okay. I guess spending his wood instead on farms at home. Oh, second TC at home. Okay. So this is just some relatively late aggression, but it seems to be doing some big damage already. 7-4 Eco KD. The 4 fishing ships for Kasva versus the 7 villagers for Lyx. And Kasva still has this tower up. Though I guess the fires weren't enough to take out that tower. You can see how strong it is, right? Lightcap coming in as well for Kasva to deal with the monk choice. And Kasva, I agree, does need more monasteries. I mean, he has the gold. He might not have a great economy here. I guess he can continue to add fish with the wood he has and spend the gold on monks. And he's had so many villagers just kind of idle here. I think he's just going to send them over to that other town center. Or no stone for him. His economy's looking to look trash after this. Idle TC racking up for both of them, but much, much higher for Lyx here. Knights are going in for the Mangonel. I think 2 knights will be enough. Monks are coming in on the side. They have charges against the Step Lancers. Step Lancers are on stand ground. And much better engagement here for Lyx. The Step Lancers can try to pick off some units around the other side. Was that a delete? There was no conversion happening anymore. Very late delete. And another Mangonel produced here. I guess they'll just take out the house and maybe explore around. Kasva hasn't had great exploration behind this. Clearly trying to make sure his economy is decent and building a market to deal with all that extra gold he collected. So not maybe a perfect start from Kasva, but he just still has the lead. Mangonel continues firing. Okay. Gets stopped. I imagine the Mangonel could come over to the sea tower and try to make Kasva's fish a little bit less controlled, but yeah, Lyx doing a great job of controlling this position in front of his base, and Knights and a converted Step Lancer are going to across to Kasva's completely unprotected eco. That's what's nice about this version of the map with the shallows right in the middle. Mangonel's going to try to come across all the same, and I don't think the Knights... Oh, the Knights and Step Lancer are being pulled back. Very nice play for Kasva, as long as he doesn't lose the Step Lancers, but he's stuck in between a tower, some monks. Sorry for the quick lag there. Monks don't have redemption though, so they have to stay away from the Mangonel's rocks. And we have more conversions coming in, and I think this is enough here for Lyx. Step Lancers should just go for the run, and luckily they are on the other side of the base and will have a chance to spot Lyx's additional economy here. Does spot that Lyx was on stone as well. Might make him think, okay, forward castle could be in the cards. And I like this. Exploring with one Step Lancer, using the other Step Lancers to move in. Lyx is forced into some quick walls, and he does kind of get control of his base again. More Step Lancers and Scouts on this other side. So if Kasva has the APM, after he finishes dropping his third town center, he'll be able to move back around. So far, I would say Kasva has done a very good job. The economy in early Castle Age for Lyx was just kind of all over the place, especially since he went out to this extra TC. His idle TC time twice as high as Kasva, up at 7 minutes now. Does still have the fish, but they're not the most efficient anymore. So yeah, I'd much prefer Kasva's position. I think his civilization is a little bit more interesting. And look at this, more Knight or Lightcap and Step Lancers coming in as well. Lyx has noticed, he's queued the conversions, but he hasn't really pulled the villagers in time. And where are the monks? Oh, they're all the way back here. Okay, one more monk coming out, but of course Lightcap can be pulled into action to take out that monk. And the monks are keeping the gate open. They might go down. The Step Lancers are pulling the arrows from the town center. Very, very well played here by Kasva. And Kasva has seen the town center here, and he's going to add another siege workshop. Has those Step Lancers that he pulled over. And yeah, he's so much havoc. Here's the counter raid for Lyx. And Kasva seems like he has a pretty good reaction time. Only one unit has gone down to these knights so far, and I think that was the Mangonel earlier. Now one villager goes down as well, second villager, and maybe gets the third, trying to go for the block. Okay, we'll get the fourth. Well played by Lyx, and knights are going to continue to wrap around, but there should be enough town centers here to keep all of these villagers safe as long as they'll get pulled out in time. Yeah, Kasva is playing very, very well. Might not have the APM for everything, but the decision makings and the process has felt very nice. Steppe Lancers were pulled back from this forward position, and the monk starts converting the villager that was forward as well. So Kasva has lost his element of surprise here with the additional siege push, and 2 light calves are being pulled, or yeah, being chased by a knight. So I think they would be able to win that fight. The villager runs away from the monk, finds a tiger instead. Should win that fight still. I don't know why my capture rate just started lagging like crazy. Okay, that looks better. Knight running back away. So 3 TC versus 3 town centers, but it's a 10 plus villager advantage here for Kasva, and he's ready to add the 4th town center. He has pretty good vision over all of what Lyx is doing, so he'll have a lot of time to react. And now we have a battering ram for Kasva. Is this for the dock? Or is this for the market? He probably has to imagine his opponent's using the market quite a bit. Yeah, Kasva, not really... Were you saying Kasva not making a monastery? You're thinking maybe for devotion? I like the battering ram for the sea tower. That's very, very funny. We'll see if Lyx responds to that. Okay, he's sending knights back over there. And we have another battering ram here. Maybe just to open up Lyx's base a little bit more. Steppe Lancers at the same time, though, are attacking under the town center. How long will it take for Lyx to react? He reacts pretty quickly. And we do have monks that have been pulled over here to react to the Steppe Lancers. Though Steppe Lancers can still take out monks fairly quickly. One conversion comes in, and Steppe Lancers sticking around. The addiction to battering rams, a little weird here. I don't think you have enough Steppe Lancers to just battering ram everything. More conversions as well. And Sea Tower still stays up, though, of course, another battering ram is here. Kasva behind this also getting some idle TC time. Only 12 on food. It feels like he had more than 12 farms, but the villagers were just pulled off after that night raid. Maybe feeling like he wants the siege instead. But it really feels like he just booms it to the win here. Maybe the fact that he has no gold control is a little bit concerning. He's built all of his town centers at home, and he's kind of walling himself off at the moment. He might run into that as a big issue. Bloodline's coming in for Lyx now, as he's feeling like he has a nice position. What is this by Kasva? This feels like I'm ready to throw the game kind of situation. Maybe he's trying to starve his opponent off of gold. I like this redock here as well for Lyx. And villagers are coming through in the blind. And will either one react to this? Oh my goodness, no way. There's so much else going on that Kasva is allowed to pass by these knights. If Lyx watch back this game and this castle actually does a lot of damage, Lyx is going to be kicking himself. But maybe it was all a bait. He's like, you know what? I don't mind if that castle goes up. Lyx, on the other hand, so far away from a castle of his own. Now the battering rams make some sense. And I think a siege workshop will be needed here for Lyx in defense. Knights coming into Kasva's eco. Kasva will have to react to that. But it looks like this castle is going to be going up. There's good house walls behind. Steppe Lancers on the other side to defend. Knights could try to engage against the battering rams. Gold mine positions make it a little bit awkward for the battering rams to get a good position on the town center. And there looks like there's enough Italian knights here in defense. So battering rams might need to hold off for now. Knights haven't really found a great spot. They're just going to be attacking the market. And back at Lyx's eco, he's going to be collecting some stone now as well. Yeah, Kasva just so lucky that his villagers didn't get recognized there. I think he wants to delete that house as well if he wants to be able to collect some stone easily. And has trapped the knights in as well, trying to keep the villagers as alive. Doesn't really have any military back here to help defend. And really needs to garrison all these villagers, send them back to work. That is one difference between what I was seeing from Siscon yesterday and some of these other top players, is just how quickly Siscon was able to send everyone back to work. There we go. Back to 32 farmers, which is looking very good. And we'll make sure that he gets up to the Imperial Age faster than Kasva. I like this game so far. I was mentioning how Shoals can give you some exciting games, and we've definitely seen it with this different approach. The all-in into not really expanding all that much to these outer golds. And now that we have Steppe Lancers and Mengedai on the field, it can be very difficult for Lyx to react to it. Lyx doing a good job with house walls, quick walls, and maybe Kasva running a little bit too far in here. Has been spotted, obviously, and there's quite a few knights chasing behind. I mean, the reason he lost the previous game was he tried to go in a little bit too deep with that army. Now, obviously, he has a much better position, up 32 villagers, and with a decent military. He only has fletching, though, for the Mangudai at the moment. Sits under the castle, defends his position, and he's thinking castle on the other side as well. There is a monk over here for Lyx, though, you know, with so much going on, not a good chance that he actually notices. Kasva actually going for what looks like ballistics before he gets Bodkin. Might not recognize that he doesn't have it at the moment. And Lyx has enough for a castle of his own, so we might be turned into a Treb fight over here. And Lyx also... Or no, that's Kasva. I'm looking at the wrong resources. Kasva, very close to clicking up. Monk might as well just be deleted after being so confused standing in the middle of that castle foundation. But Lyx is patient enough. Kasva, 0 on gold. You are right, superhero. He needs to build this castle over here, and if he doesn't get it up due to these 2 monks, I mean, there's not much there, he'll be able to take the gold here. And it looks like Lyx has good water control. I mean, this castle, I think, is out of range of what I began to call bombard boats yesterday because I couldn't remember the name of cannon galleons. I think even if Kasva completely gives up water, he's still in a decent position. What is going on here? Clearly wanted to go off on his own adventure. Lyx really desperate for a counterattack as he's 1,000 score behind. And he's the one with water, so you can't say it's just water this time. Kasva doing a good job reacting to that. We'll need to micro back the Mangudai, and Ballistic's still not in. But he is halfway up to the Imperial Age when Lyx just clicks. Both saw as well behind, so he's not completely forgetting his ecotechs. Looks like the castle will go up successfully. And we even have some light cav here sitting next to the relic. That might be the thumbnail as well. I have so many options, and this is only game 2. House walls here. The same house wall, I think. Oh, we don't have quite a full house wall. I was going to say, is that the same house wall from earlier? But no, I think that was over here. The house wall that killed Lyx's scout at the beginning of the game. That made him completely unaware of Kasva's strategy. Not that you might necessarily look for that anyways. And Lyx sending... Oh, well, it looks like villagers straight down the middle. He's like, you know what? I can't fight for gold. My opponent already has castles on both sides. I think he's... Oh, no, he never scouted that. The castle hadn't been placed when the monk rolled by earlier. And we have knights in defense here to make sure this castle goes up for Lyx. Kasva did make 1 fire, which won him the water. And he's pulling the Mangudai over to follow... Was he expecting this? Oh, okay. Lyx is just going over this side. But Lyx doesn't see anything here. What has he seen so far? He must know his opponent's here, right? And he sees the castle. He's building outposts. The knights are scouting. And now the question is, will Kasva seize this castle going up? He's walling in his villagers. Placing the villagers so far away from the castle. I guess there's more villagers over here. But yeah, doesn't see anything at the moment. 2 trebs coming out. Are they... Okay, both from the same castle. And just like have creating extra things for Lyx to pay attention to back there. Mangudai do have Bodkin now. Should be able to clean up these knights that only have the first armor still. And now Kasva sees the castle as Mangudai goes down to the arrow fire. I mean, I would say gold control is a lot better here for Kasva at the moment. Lyx still has 18 on gold. Most of them, I think, are right here. These 14 villagers, and I imagine, what do we have? Maybe a few back here? He might still have a bit of gold. Yeah, he still has a bit of gold back at his base. But there are holes quickly forming back at his base. Doesn't have the res to click chemistry either. Going for Bracer first. He already has... Or he doesn't even have ballistics. Bracer's a weird tech. Why Bracer instead of chemistry? When you think, okay, maybe I'm going to need bombard cannons, bombard boats, a whole slew. And we have another castle here from Kasva. Both players taking the opposite side of gold from the original base. Villager checking if there's ballistics, I guess. And Lyx calls the GG. Didn't really need that Treb fight. I mean, you could pretty much see that this castle was going down. He would have very little gold control. I don't know if he saw the next castle even going up, but yeah. Very, very tough position. Kasva just took the lead, took the early momentum with that early attack here. And he did a pretty good job, I want to say. He kept his minion all alive. Lyx was forced into a quick monastery with all of his villagers, and then his villagers and his eco balance was pretty terrible after that. The idle TC time was just going up and up. So well played to Kasva. And we'll see who takes it in game number 3 on Rocky Forest. As I mentioned earlier, Lyx has Georgians, which I would consider a very, very strong civ on Rocky Forest. We saw when Lewis played against Lyx with Georgians, he had the early momentum with the scout fight because of those healing Georgian scouts, and then he was just able to create somewhat of a wall. You can't completely wall on the map because of the rocky terrain, but he was able to create somewhat of a wall with his production buildings, with his houses, and then once you start getting those fortified churches in your economy, adding a few towers, adding a castle, you're just untouchable at home. So, yeah, interesting to see. Yeah, I agree that forward castle for someone in Imp is dicey, and if, but I mean, like, I still have the game up. If Lyx had come here, because I think he was in a situation where you go kind of for the economy at home. If you went here for the castle and create it messy for Kasva, and maybe, I don't know, have a ram push at the same time while your opponent's not paying attention. I mean, that's very, like, you have to be super lucky that day for that to work. But, I don't know. I also agree, like, this makes a bit more sense because you need the gold control. Also kind of curious that he went right down the middle to drop the castle instead of coming from this outside. Almost seems like he did spot the villagers earlier when that monk was passing by, even though he didn't see any of the foundations yet. Looks like the players are starting up, though, so we can jump into the game once the spec delay is done. And I'm expecting it to be Georgians versus, I don't know, Persians? And no, I'm wrong. It's Armenians, Georgians. Armenians! Sure, they get the mule cart, which is really nice on this map, but against Georgians? What I would say is the best open map civ at the moment. Here's game number 3, Kasva. I think I've been messing up changing the colors. Did I have Lyx in blue? Okay, I meant to have Lyx in blue last game as well as first game, but I might have forgotten to switch. Kasva playing as the Armenians and Lyx playing as the Georgians. With this rocky terrain, the mule cart can get really nice and close to the wood line, but if you have a lumber camp, you might not actually be able to place it right along the edge here as you would want. And the Georgians, of course, starting with the free mule cart. The Armenians probably picked here just to have the mule cart of their own. But I think the Georgians are just going to have a field day here with the mobility. You can't full wall here. You can full wall all the way up to that stone terrain. And then I guess you could leave a spearman, a pikeman on stand ground right there to act as the end of your wall. Maybe a mule cart as well. I don't know if mule carts run away if they're attacked, the same way villagers might run away after they're being attacked. This is a very forward gold here for Lyx. But as Georgians, he'll have plenty of time there to fortify that position, especially if he opens scouts. And meanwhile, Kasva has very forward berries by the rocky terrain. So I definitely prefer Lyx's map here. I imagine he's going to have a very, very fast uptime with the Georgians, not having to put that many villagers on wood. I mean, even 2 might be excessive for Georgians, since what do you need? You need 100 wood for the mule cart, or sorry, for the mill as your second building to go up. And then a few more houses. What does he need? 2 more houses. So he needs to collect 150 wood by the time he has like 18 villagers. Maybe 2 on wood is necessary, but it feels like you start with 1 and then maybe send a second later on. Maybe it's just easier to do this way. I'm not saying I'm a huge fan of the duck build, which I think is 10 on food and then 7 on wood. That's a little bit excessive. It works, though, I guess, if you're just trying to make it super, super easy to follow a build order. If you only have to switch the direction that villagers are going once, it can be a little bit easier. So here you'll see Kasva build the mule cart in the... okay, he needs to build a house first. But builds it... Oh, he can actually build the mule cart on the rocky terrain. I was thinking he had to build it out here and then drive it over. But I guess mule carts don't really have terrain restrictions. Except for maybe water. Goose being very brave there. Ready to move out into the central area. But both players just pushing in the deer from the center back to the town center. And it looks for a second like Lyx was not going to be able to get that boar in correctly, but got it pretty close. Close enough for it to count. And yeah, so far, pretty even. I'm wondering if Kasva, as the Armenians, wants to match scouts with the Georgians, or if he wants to play into archers. Lyx can make it difficult for archers to approach, right? If he builds, I don't know, what can you fit right here? I guess you fit a barracks right along the gold. And maybe some palisade walls. A stable. You can kind of funnel your opponent to not have a ton of areas to hit. Especially if he towers the wood line, which is fairly common on rocky forest. Archers can't quite reach across the forest at this point, but once a few more trees are cut, and we have crossbows in, could be a play. Lyx being on wood so early with Georgians, this could be a drush build. Ooh, I didn't think about that. It's a good point, Pasta. But also, like, why? I guess maybe to kill the deer. If your opponent doesn't have deer, that could be a pretty good strategy. We have our scout fight in the middle. Not ideal for Kasva, since Lyx's scout will start healing once he gets up to fetal age. And Spearman there, though. That's the advantage of the Armenians. Probably not something Lyx was expecting. Spearman available for the Armenians starting in Dark Age. And there we go. Lyx has no scout now. No way to adapt. If Lyx loses this as Georgians, he will have lost as Georgians and playing against Georgians, which I think is kind of embarrassing. Maybe not. But I like this this Spearman approach. Kasva clicking up, only a villager behind. And Spearmen are over here to scout around Lyx's base. Try to be a pain, maybe attack some villagers, force a reaction. Lyx is on top of it, though. Doesn't have anything else to pay attention to at this point in the match. Yeah, I agree, Pasta, that this build of putting so much on wood so early is weird. Look at the Spearman blocking the foundation for the stable. Stable gets put next to the wood line instead. And Scout and Spears are here to create more of a pain. It's almost like a militia drush, except not. And the Spearman in defense here will force the Scout away. 3 spears. Is this going to be Spear Skirm? I don't think this is Spear Skirm. Kasva's up, not adding any other military building at the moment. There we go. It will be a range. I think his build is great, says Sean. Okay, Sean. We know your builds. I mean, Kasva really forcing a reaction here out of Lyx with all these spearmen. But you can see how little damage they actually do to these Georgian villagers. Not that Georgian villagers are special in any regard, but... yeah. Just a pain, really. I guess it slows down the efficiency of the villagers. And sitting right in front of the stable will make... Lyx think again about making scouts. I mean, his scout production's been pretty bad. He's housed now, so clearly there is some efficacy behind this build. And Kasva behind this is adding skirm, so it is going to be spear skirm for him. I mean, Lyx doesn't even have the res for horse collar because he feels forced to add a range now. I like this house just baiting the skirm, or not house. This scout just baiting the skirms into. I'm just completely saying the wrong unit. I liked how the scout was sitting behind the spears to try to bait a reaction. Lyx didn't fall for it, but still fun all the same. Scout still being annoying. Kasva clearly has been playing for having higher APM than Lyx in these sets. But now we have the scouts coming over, and not much here in defense. No spears at home. We have one skirmisher sitting outside of the range, which confirms kind of what the strategy is here. IDLTC time is mounting again for Lyx. Soon will be even with Kasva's. I think for Kasva, it's just that the strategy is so tight But the fact that he has nothing here to defend his wood line is a little bit concerning. I mean, easy to be fixed, and also Lyx can't afford to make any more scouts at the moment. Adding skirms of his own. Did all the spears get cleared up? Oh, no, we still have 4 spears. Oh, they got pulled back to match up with these skirms at home. Yeah, that's true. Lyx isn't going to be able to find much damage with just these scouts. No reason for him to try to go in on that wood line at the moment, but just scouting that earlier, which I imagine he... Oh, he didn't see it. He didn't see it. Okay. I guess he's just going to match skirms. It's just turning into an all-in skirm fight, Socotra style. I would say that Pasta is not a pessimist, but a realist. He recognized the game position here. And Scout has been kept alive for Kasva. Just checking on what the follow-up is here. No fletching in for either player now. Their economies have both been on the ropes. But Scout's going to try to get a few picks here on the skirm. Spears force Lyx's scouts away. And yeah, Kasva looks like he's in a much better position here. I haven't seen Spear Skirm yet on Rocky Forest. I mean, this is really the second game that I'm really paying attention to this. But I think Scout still doesn't go down. Villagers are thrown into the action because these are the anti-skirmisher or the anti-trash units at the moment. Scouts can't get too far involved, and one villager even goes down to this nonsense. Kasva's done a really good job of keeping his scout alive and get some value out of it. Though, as I say it, the skirm might finally take out the scout, and I think scout will have to run. Will get knocked down. And yeah, okay, these Georgian scouts might actually find their moment now. As the spears have been cleaned up, the scouts have been mostly healing up, and Kasva's still sending units forward. Might have to pull them back, at least these skirms. That one spear will also be able to just be taken out. I'm expecting to see a tower get put up by Kasva fairly soon. He does have, what, a 4-villager lead now? Part of that is the idle TC time for Lyx. But if Lyx can get a good position behind this, he'll be happy. And okay, the tower's on the left side and not on the right side by these workers. Lyx just not doing a great job here with the... Okay, he's trying. He's trying. And might now take out the spear. Okay, he does, but there's always another spear here, it feels like, for Kasva. And still not enough scouts to really do too much damage. I would say Lyx is in a position where he has to do damage. Has to really check out what's going on. Maybe waiting for the additional scout and skirm to come in. Sees the tower. Knows, okay, am I just being funneled over to this other side? You are. But it's not necessarily what Kasva wants to see. Spears are trying to get in between the scouts and the villagers that are exposed. If Lyx takes a good fight here, it could almost be GG for Kasva. Of course, he doesn't have that far to run back to the town center with the villagers. And Kasva defending very, very well. After what looked like a very poor showing in game number 1, Kasva's really stepped it up so far. Seems to be outranking Lyx's skirms, keeping those spears alive. Ready to take some hits against the scouts, but it's just a back and forth battle of counter units. And now he's going in. Skirms are in their minimum range here, so can't really get in on the spearmen too easily, but maybe now have found that opportunity. Spearmen going down. Scouts have fully healed again for the Georgians and ready to take the fight. Just can't lose the scouts. As long as they have a little bit of HP left, they're okay. But Lyx not able to click that last spearman, and maybe not taking the fight that he was envisioning at the beginning there. It looked like he had taken out the spearmen, but there's always more coming out since Kasva has the defender's advantage. It's still a 5-villager advantage, or 4 to 5 villager advantage here. Lyx is trying to find an opportunity here, but I think he needs to be a little bit more patient, maybe. Keep his scouts on stand ground, and he loses both of them. And the army count strongly in Kasva's favor again. Kasva behind this. He's doubling down. He's doubling down on the feudal approach. He sees that Lyx doesn't have it today. The micro has been sloppy. He's going to add his own stable. And I'm guessing it's just going to be more skirms from him. Going to gold as well. And for Lyx, it's just going to be dropping more farms. I mean, he's super heavy on gold. I think he's going to want to market in his future before any more production buildings. Kasva's just watching this entrance to his base for the moment, knowing he has the military advantage. He just has to track the units as they try to move around. Ooh, Kasva doesn't quite get the wall off. He can't wall anymore. I think that's a dead villager. Villager's trying to run, trapped between the two scouts. Villager will be let in by deleting the house, and it feels like those quick walls were kind of unnecessary. Kasva could have walled that a while ago. I guess maybe not. He had to cut enough of an entrance there. And both players playing a little bit more passively. Oh, and Kasva, okay, looks like he's going to go up instead of the additional production there. Maybe he was preparing for Lyx's additional aggression. But yeah, both go up to Castle Age, it looks like. Lyx, by selling a lot of resources. Where's that market? There it is, right in the back there. And it has moved out to those extra berries, which are quite nice. Having all the aggression forward has given that opportunity. Kasva goes for the trap. Unfortunately, not quite the player that pulls that off effectively, and a little bit later up to the next stage, though with about 1,000 resources ahead. Though some of those resources are tied up in that gate. Maybe that's just a bug? Okay, deletes it now. And scouts still roaming around, just the two there and maybe one at home. And here come the skirms forward for Kasva. He doesn't need to wait for the next stage. He's like, you know what? I clicked up. I don't have to look at my eco for a while. Let's micro. Another stable here for Lyx. Getting bloodlines now. It does feel like once Castle Age comes in, the spear skirm meta isn't really going to be as strong as it is in Feudal Age. Kasva having to, or sorry, Lyx having to react in both places to pull his scouts away from the spears is effective in one place, but he keeps taking hits. As long as he's patient, he might be in an okay position, but can he be patient when the skirms are microing down his villagers? The villagers are going for the spears first, so that the skirms can be taken out by the scouts. And is this another case of Kasva going too deep into his opponent's base? It looks like he has the micro a lot of the time. Lyx actually mis-microing there, moving his skirms before they actually fire, and the skirms are at least being taken out, so it looks like Kasva, at the end of it, is going to force some idle time out of his opponent's villagers, keep the scouts at home until he can safely make it up to the next stage, getting Pikeman upgrade before he even reaches Castle Age. I mean, he has the resources for Elite Skirm. Maybe he just keeps playing Spear Skirm behind this. Pikeman in 8 seconds, not ideal for this fight timing. There we have Pikeman. Forcing scouts in Feudal Age from Lyx is good, really good for Kasva. Now he can... Yeah, forcing the scouts to stay at home, I assume is what you're saying. This stable here from Kasva not really being used yet. He's adding monks to deal with the knights, and he's really cleaned off a lot of the scouts. No light cavalry click yet for Lyx, but he might choose to do that once he sees the monks. And it feels like mostly a trash play here. We already see our first fortified church giving our Armenian player his first relic. Good farm count as well. And trying to get a bit of a wall off here as the knights and scouts come in. Mule cart's a little bit in the way. Will it be finished in time? Doesn't quite look like it. We can't have good vision here. But the pikemen keep the knights at bay. We already have our monk out of the first fortified church. Not as much damage as I was initially thinking, though. I couldn't see the pikemen amidst the buildings. They were stuck in the alleyways. And cav archers for Armenians? What? Armenian cav archers, okay. I don't hate it. But at the same time, I'm like, is that the best use of your resources? Is he going to continue? I mean, Lyx is also going into our cav archers. Oh, unexpected error. I'm going to try to just reload capture age. How far in are we? 27 minutes. All right. Yeah, the game's still going in game. So I'll just try to reload capture age and hopefully we can get caught back up. Should I pause? Yeah, Armenian cavalry play so strong it crashed. Indeed. All right, capture age looks like it's back. Can it start mid-game is the question. It looks like it can. All right. We are back with scouts going in on the villagers and knights taking a really bad fight against pikemen. Looks like siege here for Lyx in the middle. We have missed a little bit of the action. Looks like we missed 2 minutes. And having the wood line open isn't too great for Lyx. Kaz was in. Oh, I need to change the colors back, don't I? That was very confusing for a second. What do we have? Eco KD at the end of the game, or at end of that fight, 3-1. And I think that Lyx is going to come out of this with the better military count. Though these elite skirms are pushing away a lot of units. So we have the cav archers for Kasva to get the Vil picks. And then we have the skirms and the pikemen to take care of all of the gold military units that Lyx is putting out. There is a lot of gold in the map, but a lot of it's in the middle here. So if Lyx can't get access to this, his gold units might come to an end. I really like the addition of the Scorpion. It pretty much counters everything that Kasva is making between the trash and the cav archers. And Kasva's going for a 4 TC boom here. I mean, that's the kind of eco you might have behind just going trash for most of the game and still getting a positive KD out of it. Cav archers are here, though. TC's not going to be up in time. He's dodging. He's dodging. Didn't dodge enough. And I think Lyx might have the opportunity here to match the difference that he's lacking. 49 to 67. Okay, maybe not. I think Kasva had a bit more of a boom going on there while we were out from capture age. But look at the AI army that we have here. What do we have? 1 warrior priest. What is that? 5 pikemen, 7 cav archers, and we could see some elite skirms being added as well. They are indeed coming out on the field. Kasva doing a pretty good job with the micro still. Just not a great job with his decision making of when to make that that town center. But obviously very, very difficult to wall against those sides. You have to be ready there. And University in the back. Weird choice by Kasva not to follow this CA. Might have thought they went back home. But will potentially cost him a villager? No, not quite. It was all a bait to take out that 1 cav archer. Warrior priest trying to collect some relics. Being escorted by a wolf. Being escorted just by cav archers. And these cav archers still being a pain in the back. Lyx now getting the 2nd armor upgrade for the cav archers and ballistics. Kasva still has no ballistics. The fortified church doesn't do all that much damage. 5 base attack, 2 additional with Bodkin. And with that siege workshop, it really feels like Lyx has taken control of the middle. Obviously, Kasva has kind of taken his foot off the gas on the aggression, with the exception of the cav archers that he's looping around, forcing a panicked town center out of Lyx, who has just sent all of the villagers back. Kasva just needs to follow that villager, who will lead him right to the honeypot. Doesn't have ballistics in quite yet, though. Just needs to get very close to this town center. Doesn't act... Okay, does get 1 kill. I was going to say, if he sat on those villagers, he'd actually get the kills. And cav archers wrapping back around for Lyx. Where's the siege, though? I swear there was scorpions. Oh, they got pulled back. They got pulled back to clear the cav archers. And in that time, Kasva gets to come home forward and build a castle. I think that was the big mix play for Lyx. I mean, his micro at the beginning of the game didn't set him up for a great position. But now, not having the villagers... Or not having the vision, not having the siege in the middle when it counts, giving Kasva this opportunity to build a castle, I think that might be the big strategical misplay. We'll see how it plays out, though. Kasva is in the lead in villagers, but maybe not in the lead in terms of military. Lyx's decision off of this is to, I guess, collect gold while he can. Have some presence in the middle with villagers. He does have ballistics on the scorpions, so these cav archers do have to watch out. But if the scorpions are not firing in unison, and because we still have this hole to enter Lyx's base, okay, cav archers think better of it. It was just a bait to move the Scorpions out of position, surely. Looks like Kasva did have a backup plan in case the siege was still here. He had mangonels of his own. So yeah, he's just played very, very well so far. Just about at 100 villagers as well versus the 59 of Lyx. The play for the 4TC boom has paid off. And there's not really enough military here for Lyx, I think, to even out that play. We'll see as they come in what the reaction time from Kasva is. He must be wondering, where are the military units? This is what I like to see. The cavalry just sitting right on the units. Knights have no armor, so they go down very, very quickly to the town center. But offer a little bit of a buffer as the cavalry want to run around to the next object. And I think Kasva just has a really easy time just keeping these town centers garrisoned. He's on the way up to Imperial Age. Lyx is going to lose with Georgians after winning, or after losing against Georgians. Kasva just missing the last armor on his cav archers. And I guess he could also make, what do they call them? Elite skirms as well. But obviously microing up in the front as well. Loses his siege, but will take out his opponent's siege workshop. So it'll pretty much be even there in the end. And there's just enough town centers here to keep all of the villagers safe. Kasva could even drop another one, but he has enough stone for another castle. And he might be thinking another castle forward to really cement his position here. I guess doesn't realize he has a mule cart right here. Just needs to pull the mule cart forward. But no, it's easier just to build a new one. And next castle not in a super aggressive position. Does he not? Yeah, I mean, we might not actually know that there's a town center there to drop the castle on. Cav archers just running into the town centers. Not ideal here for Lyx. Kasva, of course, has ballistics on it. What is Lyx doing? This is a GG moment. This is a desperation moment. We even have composite bowmen coming back to deal with all these units. What's at Shiva? And second town center, or second castle, sorry. Now going to be keeping those villagers from easily collecting gold. We do have a nice raid here with the cavalry and knights on the right side. Lyx trying to close that gap, but of course not on the way up to Imperial Age either. The score's going to shoot back up now that Kasva is up. Does Lyx call it immediately? Or does he think... Okay, he does call it immediately. Didn't even have the time to finish that thought. I mean, Kasva just had the better micro from the start. Obviously, because Capture Age crashed for a moment, we don't get to see the starting statistics or the whole lead up. But yeah, I don't know. Lyx just got put into, I guess, a weird position with Georgians. His build order at the start felt a little weird. I think just leaving one on wood feels a lot nicer. And he didn't feel like he understood Georgians all that well. I mean, that might be a little bit weird of me to say, but it just felt like he was experimenting with different units. And his transitions felt a little bit sloppy. It kind of felt like the last game as well. Like he was kind of surprised by the units Kasva was making. Maybe a little bit unprepared even. It's hard to know without really, hearing from the players directly. Lyx trying to build a castle in the middle as well. Even though his opponent's up. And yeah, there's really not much he can do in this position. I think Kasva still played very, very well. Like knowing that he could go for a 4TC boom, even though his opponent has military on the map, somehow knowing that he didn't need to protect these villagers with walls. I mean, he did lose a few villagers in the process there. It was maybe unnecessary error. But just being able to micro down his opponent's skirms, keeping the scouts at bay with spears, and going for cav archers of his own to match the Georgians' cav archers. Kasva played to an ideal game position with Armenians. Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, really, I think Armenians just want to keep it even in terms of military in Castle Age. If they can match Castle Age to their opponent, their eco will give them an advantage getting up to Imp. Snowball it before mid-Imp. Yeah. I think it is like that Imp transition that Armenians shine best with because their Imp tech tree is not that great. Maybe the champions? I could see Georgians having a little bit of difficulty against the champions. I don't think they get hand cannon. I mean, I know they get a lot of chemistry. Oh, they do get hand cannon. Never mind. It does feel like Georgians have a lot of options themselves. And they would be ideal for this map. It's just that Kasva, I guess, has figured him out. He was not afraid of having them unbanned for his opponent.